Alright, welcome to the stream here, folks. This is Bad at Fighting Games Presents One Punch Combo, a fighting game podcast, episode 5, The Return of Skullgirls, plus the first next-gen fighter. I'm Raisin B-Man, a guy who apparently has not lost his touch with exams. I ended up taking the first set of my teacher exams, and I passed 2 out of 3. There's a delay on the third one, but from the preliminary rankings, they or score that they gave me, apparently I did pretty good, which is great because trying to do the actual exam at home ran into some problems, which I detailed in the little segment I do before we actually get into news on the weekly podcast filler episode. The other podcast on this channel. But yeah, that's pretty nice, and that clears the way that if I've passed all 3 of these exams, then I can study for the other exam and go for that one, and not have to worry about this one. I have until the fall to really do what I need to do there, but it's nice to get it out of the way and not have to worry about that anymore. Right, but if you want to chat while the podcast is being streamed, you can join me live on Twitch at RaisinBman. This is a monthly podcast, One Punch Combo. Let's see. So first off, we have actually a first here. We have 2 new followers, Twitchy Den and He's the Sheriff. He's the Sheriff, actually. I believe they're both kind of funny best friends. It's a very great community to hang out in. He's the Sheriff actually subscribed to me, so that was nice. But yeah. Let's see. What else do we have to do? Let's go ahead and make sure stream markers are working. Let's get in our ad here. Yeah. As always, thanks for tuning in, folks. This is a monthly podcast, the first Saturday of every month. This is, I'm losing my touch here. This is One Punch Combo. It's monthly. It's about fighting games, and you've got filler episode, which is a weekly podcast every Saturday, which talks about anime and manga. So either one of those, it's great that you can look at those, but also should be mentioned that you have a free Amazon. It was Twitch Prime, but now it's just like Twitch gaming subscription. You can toss those to whoever you want, a Kind of Funny, a Giant Bomb, a channel like me, but Amazon's not going to remind you to use those, so you might as well use those on a channel like me or a different one. Yeah, thanks for clicking on that. He's the Sheriff, and let's go ahead and get into our news here. I actually have lurked a little bit in Twitchy Den streams, but when they're streaming, it's normally like 6 a.m. or something, so I can't really do that one, but I've lurked a little bit in those. But yeah, let's go ahead and get into our news here. So Dragon Ball FighterZ, this story brought to us by Event Hubs. Super Baby 2 is now available. That was again, this is a monthly show, so that was some time ago, but the patch notes are out there. There was a live stream. Moving on, Game Informer brings us the announcement that Samurai Showdown is coming. That's the 2019 version, is coming to Xbox Series X and S in March. So really just continuing to see SNK put this thing on like every place possible, including Stadia. Stadia is not doing too well, but I am glad Stadia managed to give SNK some money. Our next news story, Jinx, that's Jinx with a G, Jinx.tv, Guilty Gear Strive is having a beta test. And you can sign up for the open beta. I believe if you pre-order, you get in earlier. The open beta will be crossplay PS4 and PS5 with 13 characters. The open beta will commence on February 19th from 3 a.m. until 21st at 3 p.m. I don't do too many betas, but it seems like that's pretty popular. I know Nintendo's pretty infamous for this, right? To have a time limited beta for like a weekend, and that's what it is. It's 2 weeks from now, Friday till Sunday. Let's see. Apparently, they want you to subscribe to their website or register on the website for beta access. And interestingly enough, they're actually apparently offering offline modes and not just versus modes. Which is normally what you see in these betas. Let's see. I'm pretty sure that if you pre-order, you get earlier access, but I'm not seeing that on the Jinx story. Let's see. The beta will be, okay, this is a different site, .esports. The beta will be available to anyone who pre-ordered any version of the game digitally, meaning standard, deluxe, ultimate edition pre-orders count towards its access. It'll be live on PlayStation servers from February 17th until February 21st. It's interesting that's different dates. Maybe the extra 2 days are for the people who pre-ordered. Okay, right, it does say that in the .esports article. Players who haven't pre-ordered will be able to access the beta, though it won't be open until a day later on February 18th. So yeah, now that I'm done with my exams, that seems like something I might want to check out here. Because it's a little bit news that we're going into later, but apparently with Guilty Gear doing GGPO online netcode as successfully in Accent Core, a different game, an older game. They're implementing something similar, but not exactly with this one. So it'll be really nice to have a fighting game, especially in Corona World, that has immaculate netcode, which is probably one of the largest complaints, and even some news items we'll go over addressing that sort of thing. Oh, and definitely thank you for clicking on it, Hold the Sheriff. I've had that message up there for months now. And again, sort of, we go back to SNK with a Jinx.TV article. King of Fighters 15 over this past month had its official announcement, and it revealed Iori Yagami. Definitely a mainstay, no real surprise there. Jinx.TV, another article. Brawlhalla Esports has for its year 6, has a $1 million prize pool, and went over some events and more. And sometimes I wish I just had more time to check this out. Brawlhalla is basically it's a platforms fighter, a Smash-esque game. And you've had crossovers and stuff like that, and they have their little map for content, or rather the year. They've planned the year out, but just seeing where this $1 million comes from, is the fan base there? I really haven't heard anything. I can't remember if Brawlhalla is the Ubisoft one, or if that's a different one, because that would make sense, where that money's coming from. Let's see. Yep, that's the Ubisoft one, so that explains where the money is coming from. But yeah, I mean that's a good deal. Not really my thing, but as people get frustrated with Nintendo, despite handing Nintendo fistfuls of money for Smash and other things, there are other things on the market, especially in the fighting game arena, even the platform fighting game arena. Going back to King of Fighters 15, Jinx.tv article, Benimaru and Team Hero is unveiled in King of Fighters 15, which includes Benimaru, what is this guy's name? Shunya and Meiten-kun. Combo Breaker, moving on, Jinx.tv article here. Combo Breaker 2021 canceled, but they will have a online digital festival. No surprise there. We're not really going to see any events in 2021, despite people's best efforts. We've, even the sports where they have their bubbles and such, you can't really control people and keep people contained as you need for coronavirus. Luckily, we at least have the vaccine. I had my first dose last week, and takes 6 weeks to get fully vaccinated, so just have to cross my fingers until then. But and again, Jinx.tv, we have article, Guilty Gear had a rollout where they showed all the game modes. So no real surprises there. There was a PlayStation specific game mode. I have no idea what it is, but it's probably not important, so I won't go over it. But just FYI, if you plan on changing your purchase based on a PlayStation only play mode, apparently improvements to Guilty Gear Strive online lobbies were detailed in a new trailer. Story mode to be a viewing only experience with no matches played. I think they did a similar thing in the last Guilty Gear, but that does make sense. I mean, as the gaming industry gets more comfortable with visual novels and not necessarily going out of its way to do stuff that it doesn't have to, I really think that that's a good idea to have the story mode just, not be in the way. We saw how Street Fighter V story mode caused it to trip over its own feet. And especially with the fighting game, it's okay to say we don't have a story mode or a story mode isn't a priority. But yeah, I don't know. I did enjoy Dragon Ball FighterZ story mode, and they've done Grand Blue Fantasy Versus, which apparently had people have seemed to be looking at that very positively. So, I mean, they could have done a story mode, but as long as we're getting the fighting game and the fighting game developers are succeeding, then that's good enough for me. Another Jinx.tv article here. Super Smash Bros. Melee fan-created DLC featuring Wolf, N64 stages, and new game mode and more. One of the game modes being volleyball. So, this is kind of nuts, especially with you had gosh, it's I know I have it in my doc here. Yeah, so Project M, I was thinking about Project M. You have Project M, and they stopped working on that because they could have been sued by Nintendo, and they decided to make their own game instead. I don't remember if that game actually launched or not. But now we have this, and it'll be interesting to see if Nintendo brings down the hammer on this, because they are prone to. They want the spotlight on Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, and they definitely don't want the spotlight on illegal online versions with modded content. But Mewtwo King was very excited about Wolf being in Super Smash Bros. Melee. So we'll see what happens. I mean, we actually have a news item later in here about Project M. So we have these games that Nintendo isn't going to look kindly on. And if they show up on Twitch or in the tournament scene, most likely Nintendo is going to really prosecute these people. So, I mean, again, sort of going back to the topic that I was talking about earlier, it's nice that people are motivated and working this hard, but you don't want all that progress to go down the drain. Let's see. Another Jinx.tv article. Smash Melee God PPMD and Evil Geniuses part ways after 6 years. Next article, Jinx.tv. Capcom Cup has officially been canceled, and the Capcom Pro Tour 2020 final is going to replace it. That second part brought to us by .esports. Another Jinx.tv article, Dragon Ball Fighters. Okay, no, we already discussed that because Super Baby 2 is available. And we already talked about how King of Fighters 15 got its first trailer. And with this, SNK is also releasing updated versions of KOF 14 and 2002. Let's see. I think we have some more information about 14 later in the show here. I actually have it right here. Along with the trailer, SNK confirmed a new version of King of Fighters 14 will be released later this month, called King of Fighters 14 Ultimate Edition, including the base game, all 8 DLC characters, 10 DLC costumes, and 10 PlayStation 4 themes. So that seems to be PlayStation only. It is planned to launch digitally in North America on January 20th, but the game is actually launching in Europe today, later on PS4. King of Fighters 2002 Ultimate Match is getting a re-release later this year with updated graphics, music, sound, moves, a rebalanced game system, and rollback netcode for online play. No timeline was given for this release, but it will drop on PS4 and PS5 in the future. That's actually a pretty big news item I haven't seen anybody cover, but especially because they said the magic words, rollback netcode. I might have to look into that. But part of that brought to us by .esports. Moving on to .esports again. Mr. R parts ways with Beast Coast after 4 years. This leaves them without a player for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. Next up, .esports. DreamHack details Season 3 Originals lineup, including multiple FGC events. Let's see what we have. So, Alex Jabali. So you've got multiple tournaments under the banner of DreamHack Community Clash featuring Killer Instinct, Guilty Gear, XX Accent Core, plus R, Super Street Fighter 2 Turbo, Skullgirls Second Encore in March. And all of this is on smash.gg right now if you like to sign up, so definitely do so if that's your thing. So .esports brings us another article. I am not familiar with this, but they tagged it under FGC. So this article is how the Sky House became an epicenter of abuse and exploitation in esports. Sky Williams was once YouTube's most popular gaming comedian, but behind his rising star was a toxic home environment. So I am going to skim through this. Apparently this has to do with Smash Bros. And some horrible conditions. Oh yeah, these are some big names in the Smash community, like what is it? Mewtwo King Zero. Yeah, this is a long article, but if you are into the recent sort of cleansing of the Smash community, fighting game community, you may want to check this out on .esports. Uh, and if you want to know what's really happening beyond tweets and accusations, they definitely have dig deep here. I'm not going to have time to go over this on the stream, especially if it's really just only about Smash. I only care so much, but the Smash community really needs to look at itself internally and come come through the other side of that. Uh, Another .esports article here. Killer Instinct Lives breaks 40,000 viewers, which is more than I'm trying to do a zinger, but I'm losing the name. Darkstalkers Lives has currently .esports again. Street Fighter 5 Winter Update Showcase scheduled for February 11th. That is right around the corner. And Steve Aoki is going to be in some capacity on this winter update. So you can look forward to some fat beats with your disappointing Street Fighter 5 info. So apparently the Street Fighter 5 battle director is going to drop in to talk about Rose and Season 5 balance changes and mechanics for winter update. .esports again. Guilty Gear Strive pre-orders on PlayStation. We already talked about the early access to open beta, so it's good we've covered that. Another .esports article: Super Smash Bros. Melee player IBDW sees map for first time with help of colorblind glasses. That's really interesting. I wasn't too sure how much depth there was there, but apparently he really had trouble looking at Kirby's Fountain of Dream stage, and he looked at that, so that's interesting. I do wonder, are these experimental glasses, or he just finally could afford them, or what? Today on his stream when he got a pair of Enchroma colorblind assisting glasses. Yeah, so not much more details than that, but I do wonder if that's like a new brand or something, because it seems like you would want those anyway, but understandably you may not be able to afford something like that. And again, we sort of talked about this a little bit earlier, but Guilty Gear Strive will have the same type of rollback netcode as XX Accent Core plus R, brought to us by .esports again, with Harada of Tekken fame says he wants to make another Pokken tournament game. But of course, the ball is going to be in Nintendo and the Pokemon company's court there. But it's a no-brainer that he would want to do that. I don't know how Pokken sold, and especially the Wii U wasn't that great. But I imagine, like many creators, putting it on the Switch is the main goal of everyone besides EA, who for some reason said the Switch doesn't sell. But it really helps if you actually put games that are worth buying on the Switch. Another .esports article: Street Fighter 5 and Fighting Layer EX crossover again with a Garuda skin for Akuma. There's also colors 9 and 10 for Akuma's Garuda costume and Street Fighter 5 Championship Edition available. Dot Esports again. Cham Cham and Hibiki Takane to join Samurai Showdown later this year. Next news item: SNK vs. Capcom Match of the Millennium is coming to the Nintendo Switch later this month. That story brought to us by Event Hubs. Fatality releases its updated Captain Falcon matchup chart for the latest version of Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, brought to us by Event Hubs. Official Yorichi Shihon gameplay trailer showcases more of what Jump Force's next DLC character can do, coming February 2nd. She's very naked, more than I've seen in art of her. But you should not be playing Jump Force, but if you are, she has come to your game, unless the game died. That's brought to us by Event Hubs. And here we have a really interesting story because I haven't seen it covered anywhere else. I imagine that people were unaware of this because it's just really strange. It's a good sort of strange, though. Annie's gameplay revealed in new Skullgirls second encore trailer, more DLC on the way. So, for those of you who have not been following this, Skullgirls Studio made, gosh, I don't even remember the name of the story, but they made a game that's not Skullgirls, and they said if that did well, we'll move back to Skullgirls and do Skullgirls 2. But apparently, they're just moving back to Skullgirls, period. And I guess the performance of that other game, I really wish I could remember the name, but it's not the Pathless, it's something. But it was, yeah. Anyway, going back to it, it's really just took me by surprise and sort of made my eyes water with anticipation of the fact that we've got a new character here and they're moving back to Skullgirls, because one of the things that they're really talking about is if this next project is successful, then we can prove that we're doing our work, and the company who owns Skullgirls, which I believe is Autumn Games, will allow us to keep working on Skullgirls. So apparently that was successful, and that's cool. And we even had the Skullgirls mobile game, which was another effort to move in that direction. And also, it details the fact that we're getting another character here. Oh, and it actually does say in this Event Hub article that Annie actually made her debut in Skullgirls Mobile, so maybe I'm just behind. August 14, 2020, so not too long ago, but obviously it escaped my notice. Huh. I mean, just really interesting stuff and cool stuff. Let's see. Another Event Hubs article. Phenom releases new Street Fighter V Champion Edition tier list. We've got a lot of tier lists this week, and I've got 2 podcasts to do because it's been a very long day, so we will not be going over everything. This tier list goes from S to B. Excuse me. S to Twitter character, which is sad, but I'm not surprised. Alex sucks. Twitter character, aka I'm guessing that means joke tier or really bad. Alex at the bottom. S tier. You have Seth, Rashid, Poison, Akuma, Zeku, Urian, Cammy, Colin. It seems like Colin got a buff here apparently. G, and Abigail. So some names we've definitely seen up there before, but some names have definitely risen. Poison, Cammy has been out of action for a while from my cursory knowledge of Street Fighter V. Uh, but it seems like, according to Phenoms, back up there. Again, with keeping on the tier list theme, Ultra Instinct Goku is not top 5 on Super Noon's Season 3.5 tier list for Dragon Ball Fighters. This is brought to us by Event Hub. And in S Plus, we have Gotenks, Base Vegeta, Android 21, Beerus. Apparently, Beerus is better now. Teen Gohan, Ultra Instinct Goku, OG Broly, Super Baby 2, Jiren, Kid Buu, Piccolo, Super Saiyan Blue Goku, Base Goku, Trunks, Captain Ginyu, apparently he's risen, and Kefla. And in the B tier, we have Super Broly, Super Saiyan, Goku. This is either Vegito or Gogeta, Super Saiyan Blue. I can't. This is really bad, but I don't know the difference between the two at a glance. It's hard enough to keep all the Gokus and Vegetas separated in my head. Cooler, Frieza, Zamasu, and Goku Black, rounding out that B tier. So yeah, some interesting changes there. I am not sure exactly what happened. I know Super Baby 2 got added, but in terms of balance, I don't remember what happened, or I'm not even aware of what happened, I should say, in this part of the patch here. Keeping on patches, Isam creates a definitive Super Smash Bros. Ultimate patch 10.1 that this is brought to us by Event Hubs. Okay, this is kind of like a joke tier list because it's online, but that tier list is there if you like to check it out. Next up, we have an Event Hub story. Capcom sells tickets to view Grand Fighter League Pro Japan 2020 Grand Finals event early, which is a bit confusing on why you would pay for that. So it will be released later, but apparently you need to pay for it to see it. It is a bit confusing because they've been pushing this Capcom Pro Tour stuff, and it's just been on Twitch and hasn't been paid or anything. I know, for instance, Evo, they'll have the chat in subscriber only mode, so you do have to technically pay for that, but you don't have to pay to see itself. And knowing the FGC, there's going to be a way to see it for free. Not legally, pretty soon after, so I'm not really sure who's going to invest in that. And I don't even see on the Event Hub story if it's saying that it's supporting the tournament or the FGC, because some of their DLC has done that, where they said this is a Team Liquid skin, and so you're supporting Team Liquid. But it doesn't say anything like that. Maybe they're just testing a new model there. Another Event Hub story, back to tier list. MDZ Jimmy releases latest Street Fighter V tier list. So the S tier: Seth, Zeku, Akuma, Urian, Poison, Karin, Guile, Rashid, Cammy. And the D tier, this is a much wider tier list than we saw before. Vega, Ed, Alex, Nash. Nash has not really recovered for a long time, but we do see people recognizing Cammy, Zeku, Seth, Poison really back up there. I don't think Rashid's been back up there either too much. Let's see. So interesting to see those changes. I see we have a second viewer but chat is not showing me you if you are not logged in, so you may just be anonymously watching, but thanks for tuning in. Combo Breaker canceled for second year in a row due to COVID-19. No surprise there. This brought to us by Event Hubs. New update that nerfs Kodokan and Shiva in Mortal Kombat 11 released. Patch notes are up there, brought to us by Event Hubs. Grand Blue Fantasy Versus had patch 2.31, brought to us by Event Hubs, and this also introduced their newest DLC character, who I have no idea. Oh, the character's name is Anre. I put a note for myself. Good on me for counteracting my lack of knowledge about the game. Anre released on January 26th. And a news item that repeats a bit, but I think I condensed it all right here. Min Min is top tier but loses hardest to Sheik. Debus shares his matchup chart for the ARMS guest character in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. We're not going to go over that matchup chart because a lot of people are apparently disturbed by Min Min. And again, very, very elementary knowledge, but Min Min from her native game has different fists she can use, so I imagine people have been studying her and using her and have discovered which fist to use when, and they are turning her into a bit of a monster here. Isam, who we heard from earlier, has a Min Min chart also, and that's another reason why we're not going over Min Min charts, but they are up there on eventhubs.com if you'd like to check those out. Will Tupac released a Lucia matchup chart for Street Fighter V Championship Edition. That's over on Event Hubs, brought to us by them. And we have a really interesting video and article on eventhubs.com on PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale. I am a champion of PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale because it was a game. It was one of the only games that I could get people to actually play when I did tournaments in college that was not Smash Bros. Matt McMuscles made a video looking at the game and where it failed and some stuff behind the scenes. So let's skim this and see if we can find anything interesting. I'll probably end up looking at the video myself because I am one of the last people defending PlayStation All-Stars, even though it wasn't a good game. Apparently it started over at Naughty Dog, but it was put into the hands of Superbot with a very tight budget, and I'm sure you could tell it was a tight budget if you played or saw the game. An anonymous developer said that some of the rumors we heard were true. Crash Bandicoot was close to making it in. Activision wanted too much money. Lara Croft, I don't think I've discussed it on this channel or the podcast series before, but she was almost in, but they wanted her to appear in the reboot first. Negotiations with Square Enix did occur, but it's believed that the Final Fantasy makers were wary of lending their support to a brand new team on an unproven project. It had crossplay, so there's something that you can't insult it on. Superbot no longer found themselves with support from PlayStation, so they shopped around for future projects before shutting down completely. One of those projects was allegedly a new game in the Rival School series, or a spiritual successor. So really interesting stuff there, and we'll actually be seeing some more about interesting canceled games later in this podcast here. Event Hubs brings us another one. Human Fullgoer, Saber Wolf in a baseball cap and a wizard. Killer Instinct's character design showcases the first game's early and unused fighters. Moving on, Event Hubs brings us a story where we've got some Mortal Kombat 11 statistics. So you can definitely check that out on, I believe this is the official Mortal Kombat channel. But it would be nice if they would have just done an infographic. But it is always interesting, I think, to see some of those statistics because, you know, people will see certain things in their views, but the numbers don't lie. And I don't remember if we talked about this or not, and this is a weird announcement anyway, so we'll talk about it here. Dungeon Fighter Duel is a game that's being made in collaboration with Arc System Works, which is based off the Dungeon Fighter property, which I don't know much about, but I believe it's a mobile game, yada yada. You probably know the story by now. And there are 5 character classes so far announced. That story brought to us by Event Hubs. But yeah, it'll be interesting to see what comes of that, because if there's anything that tends to take the fighting game scene by storm, it is crossover fighting game proper, or rather licensed fighting game properties, but crossover, yes. Excuse me. Event Hubs brings us another story. Competitor disqualified from MK11 Pro Competition North American League event because of custom variation name that poked fun at NRS. Basically, the player their name wasn't even actually vulgar or anything. It wasn't like fuck NRS or anything like that. It was just asking them why they did this. I think that was the name, or similar than that. So another Event Hub story. Tekken apparently holds the Guinness World Record for longest running video game storyline, which even surprised Harada. And I was trying to think, there are definitely game series that have run longer, but Tekken 7 has had the same storyline going, much like a soap opera, and Final Fantasy can't take that because they're switching up stories every entry. So, yeah. Another Event Hub stories. Ash Williams may have been replaced by Joker for Mortal Kombat 11's DLC lineup based on a lot of circumstantial evidence. So, I'm not really going to go over this article, but this would make sense and line up because you've got, there was a lot of speculation and even, some leaks that were saying this, but there were rumors of legal trouble, as in, I guess maybe the owners of the property of Ash Williams, the I want to say House of the Dead, but that's not what it's called. But you know what I'm talking about. Ash Williams and Bruce Campbell, etc., etc. And even Bruce Campbell tweeting that he was in Mortal Kombat 11, or hinting at that. That being said, at the same time, Ed Boon and NRS are really known to troll pretty heavily. And we've had stuff like Kiefer Sutherland saying he's in Mortal Kombat when he wasn't. This was around the time when Mortal Kombat 10 was still being supported. So even if he were to show up, it would have been near then. So ultimately, I mean, we have had voice actors leak stuff before, but it just seems very strange for all this evidence to be supporting Ash Williams. And for us not to get him, to the point where I think even in one of the trailers there was a chainsaw sound, which would have been hinting at Ash Williams if it wasn't hinting at, I guess, Leatherface, but they've already done Leatherface, so no real reason to do that. But anyway, just thought that was pretty interesting. Another Event Hub story. Karen drops out of the 10 most popular characters. Abigail climbs to best win rate chart in Street Fighter V. December 2020 online stats. Again, looking at numbers is a good deal. So that's what we'll be doing. Falk is at the bottom of usage charts. Dethroning Fang, I think. I'm pretty sure Fang was lowest, but anyway, Ryu definitely most played. Akuma right under that. Ken under that. Guile under that, kind of surprising. Kage under that, sort of maybe surprising. And you have Cammy and then M. Bison. I'm going to stop there, but I'm surprised M. Bison is that played, because it's not like he's up there on the tier list. I know I had trouble facing down M. Bison, but that's mostly because I didn't know how to fight him, and he had some weird stuff, like he has plus on his heavies and nonsense like that. And so we really had this drought of fighting game news, but we have some really interesting stuff here. Harada had planned to end Tekken 7 support after Season 2, And here's how the community changed that. Uh, I mean, obviously the game was pretty old, and it would make sense to move on. But I think at the end of the day, and this is just me speculating before we get into the article, games don't really have to end. Um, Nowadays, you have so many games as service, and there's no real reason, especially fighting games. The fighting games maker seem to be risk adverse. Why make a new game when you can just update the old one, especially with what we're dealing with now with COVID and everything? So apparently, a big part of this was dojo events, which are basically locals for the game, which really bolstered, I guess, Harada's opinion of Tekken 7 and keeping Tekken 7 in the mix. Yeah, so there's apparently a full interview on 876 TV. You can find that on YouTube, but also Event Hubs. And more good news and interesting news. Harada said we're currently working on updating Tekken 7's online experience, and this is from Event Hubs. And this is interesting for the fact that they said that they've already done so. Obviously, it's not GGPO, which is what a lot of people would have wanted, but they did recently update the netcode. But it's a good thing that they're continuing to look at it and to do so. And so we have an interesting story that's from Polygon here, but there's a number of things that discuss, and it's a really long article. It's but one of the headline here from Event Hubs: Capcom versus SNK 3 was once in development before being canceled due to SNK's bankruptcy. But yeah, this Polygon article, let me, because I have it at the bottom here. Thought it was at the bottom. Yeah, so the article from Polygon is Capcom versus SNK, an oral history. So if you are watching this, I know that nobody really watches this, but if you are if you are even a fraction interested in what happened back in the fighting game Dark Ages, what happened to Capcom versus SNK, what was the fighting game environment like back then, this is definitely something you should check out and give Polygon a click there. Event Hubs, you don't need to click so much, but Polygon, definitely give them a click for that. Marduk is a top 10 character in Tekken 7 thanks to the addition of new Season 4 move according to Joey Fury. We don't have a tier list, but there you go. Don't have much tier information there, so I thought I would at least mention that if nothing else. Moving on, Event Hub story. Tweak releases a Pokemon Trainer matchup chart for Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. And we have one of our flagship news items here where people are asking, where are the next gen fighting games? We have PlayStation 5, we have Xbox Series. And with the game makers saying that for the next 2 years they're going to be expecting and supporting cross-generation compatibility, the question is, when are we really going to need to buy the new systems and have games that are only on the new systems? And the answer is, I don't know. I'm not really sure how to pronounce this. Corrupt emerges as a next-gen fighting game with emphasis on combos, weapons, graphics, and rollback netcode. So there's no release date planned, but there is a beta incoming. Uh, so this is an indie developer, Jesse Wright. So it's a 2D fighting game. Seems like it has weapons. There's no release date. They're working on a public build to let people try Corrupt in the nearest future. So yeah, I mean that's definitely not a name that we expect, but it's exciting to see people still looking into fighting games and supporting fighting games and new names, which is not the only one that we'll encounter during this podcast. Darkstalker's Final Fight and several versions of Street Fighter II Killer Instinct featured in newly released arcade one-up cabinets brought to us by Event Hubs. Although I'm not really sure how much mileage you're going to get out of an arcade cabinet in a Corona world. Nier's Nier Automata's 2B was initially planned as a guest character for Tekken 7. Brought to us by Event Hub. So, like many people thought about Noctis, apparently the conversation was seems like she would be a better fit for Soul Calibur, which is true, and that happened. Moving on, Vent Hub's story again. Sephiroth is top tier according to Tweak, but the character takes a lot of work to be successful in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate. There's no tier list. This is a video, but obviously you can check it out. Where it actually is. King of Fighters 14 Ultimate Edition, we already talked about. Twitch removes PogChamp emote from streaming service and issues statement brought to us by Event Hubs. Um, yeah, so there isn't too much that you probably haven't heard of this if you are aware of it, but Gutex apparently has went full Trump QAnon anti-masker. It's really just kind of sad. We used to have Gutex and Mike Ross, and they used to be great. I didn't subscribe too much, but apparently esports broke both of them. Mike Ross retired, and Gutex apparently is doing the go out by going too close to the sun, sort of, really want to evaporate any chance you have of being going into the spotlight ever again. Yeah, so unfortunate. Capcom releases new video and content creation guidelines and rules for YouTube, Twitch monetization, and mods. Luckily, I am not supporting Capcom fighting games anymore. So apparently, this is a clarification of their messaging, and it's not sort of a very draconian Nintendo type of thing where they want your money. You can't put content just behind a paywall like Patreon. You can't post music or cutscenes in game without commentary or stuff that'll provide instructional, educational value or other benefits. And some other stuff it doesn't seem to be too out there. Sakurai reveals design documents for Sephiroth's poses accentuate his strength in Super Smash Bros. Ultimate, brought to us by Event Hubs. REO releases his Mortal Kombat 11 tier list featuring Jackie, Liu Kang, Cetrion, Joker, and Fujin as best characters in the game. And so yeah, we instead of S to not S, we have the best to decent, because of course Mortal Kombat players have to, NetherRealm players have to do it differently. We have Jackie, Liu Kang, Cetrion, Joker, and I don't recognize these characters anymore. I've known it for a while, but I definitely feel old when I don't recognize characters anymore. And Fujin as the best at top tier. And at the bottom, lowest tier, decent, you have Devora, Baraka, Shao Kahn, and Scarlet, I guess. We don't get too many Mortal Kombat tier lists, so definitely wanted to put that out there. Book Gang God doesn't exactly agree with Go 1 and Kazunoko's recent Dragon Ball FighterZ tier list. And this is a little bit older, definitely before Super Baby 2 is released. We don't have a tier list, we only have a video, so I can't tell you much about it without possibly getting DMCA'd, so we're not going to do that. Brought to us by Event Hubs. Z Assist tier list, and again, because I'm going from most recent to least recent, Z Assist tier list for Dragon Ball FighterZ constructed by Lord Knight that sees Krillin's options as two of the best choices. Won't go over this too much since it's really okay, and it'd be a lot to say, but it goes from S to niche, so it might be worth checking out. Of course, we had a new patch, so it may just be outdated, but that's out there courtesy of Event Hubs, courtesy of Lord Knight. Another shocker here, Tough Love Arena is a free new browser fighting game that offers rollback netcode, childhood sketchbook charm, and plenty of potential, brought to us by Event Hubs. So, just this title itself is sort of surprising. It's a new fighting game, has rollback netcode, and it's in your browser. So, that's kind of amazing. The immediate art style isn't that appealing to me, and if I had more time, I would really love to try it. Okay, actually the art style is pretty okay because it reminds me of Alien Hominid. But definitely might be something interesting to check out. I mean, especially if Stadia dies, we'll still have this, apparently. And more of a for fun article here. Over 2 million Super Smash Bros. Ultimate matches analyzed to create the largest Wi-Fi tier list ever based on statistics. And this is from Event Hubs. Not going to go over it because, of course, it is a joke. Project M, Project Plus tier list created by the goats of Project M. I'm surprised Project M is still going, but I guess the officially it wasn't going anymore. But that is there on Event Hubs to check out. And again, really weird, surprising news, which I think may be in the Polygon article. But anyway, Goku was playable in King of Fighters 98 build, made for fun along with Ryu and Ken, 2 years before Capcom vs. SNK, Millennium Fight 2000. That's brought to us by Event Hubs. So just some really interesting stuff. Of course, nothing really came out of that, but it is what it is. Next up, we have a couple. It seems like Shoryuken, all they're really doing is reviewing hardware and accessories. Not that there's a problem with that, but here we go. Shoryuken has reviewed the 8-bit Do arcade stick for Nintendo Switch and PC. Power A Fusion wireless arcade stick for Nintendo Switch. Hori's Fighting Stick Alpha, the Fighting Commander Octa, and more accessories designed for Xbox Series X and S. And that's about it. And now we'll go into tourneys. So Twitch Rivals Killer Instinct Lives schedule is up there. You have a format, player, prize pool, and how to watch. That there's a little bit of a guide there on Jinx with a G.TV. Street Fighter League Pro Japan 2020 results. Street Fighter League Pro US Season 3 Week 15 results. Frosty Faustings 13 results. Topanga League X Tekken 7 Season 3 early results. Third Strike Exhibitions results. House of M results. The Third Strike Exhibition in particular was in place of Cooperation Cup because, of course, we live in a Corona world, so we can't do that. But yeah, that's it for this stream here. As always, thanks for tuning in, folks. This is a monthly podcast, One Punch Combo. This is the first Saturday of every month where we'll bring you fighting game news, a little bit of tourneys. There is also Filler Episode, a weekly podcast, which will bring you manga and anime news on every Saturday of the month. As always, thanks for tuning in.